To understand the Stoic perspective on why there are certain people you should never help, we must first lay the groundwork for what Stoicism teaches about virtue, reason, and the intentional act of assistance. Stoicism, at its core, is not a philosophy that preaches apathy toward others or a lack of compassion. Quite the opposite. Stoics believe in the interconnectedness of humanity, that we are all part of a greater whole, and that our actions should align with virtue for the good of all. However, Stoic compassion differs from indiscriminate altruism. It is measured, intentional, and rooted in reason. Helping others, to the Stoics, is an act of virtue only when it truly serves to elevate, empower, or guide individuals toward a better path, one that aligns with wisdom and self-improvement. Helping without discernment, however, can harm both the giver and the recipient. Now, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. Only 15% of my audience is currently subscribed, so if these insights resonate with you, I'd love for you to join our community and turn on the notification bell to stay updated. To the Stoics, virtue is the highest good. It is the moral compass that governs all action and thought. Virtue is comprised of 4 key elements: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Any action that violates these tenets is unworthy and should be avoided. Helping others, when done without forethought, often runs afoul of these principles. You may believe you are acting justly by offering assistance, but if the recipient is unworthy of help, if their character, actions, or mindset reject growth, you may unintentionally reinforce their vices. Worse, you may compromise your own integrity by sacrificing your time, energy, or resources for someone who neither values nor benefits from your help. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest figures, once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This teaching reveals a powerful Stoic truth. Our reactions and actions are within our control, and our energy must be spent wisely. Helping others is only virtuous if it aligns with wisdom, if it truly serves a purpose. Many well-intentioned people fall into the trap of offering help to those who reject reason, shirk responsibility, or harbor resentment. The Stoics warn against this because such people are not seeking growth. They are merely seeking to remain stagnant or exploit the kindness of others. Wisdom, in the Stoic sense, is the ability to discern what is and is not within your control. Helping others should always be a conscious choice, not an emotional impulse driven by guilt, pity, or societal expectation. The dichotomy of control, one of Stoicism's central teachings, emphasizes that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control our responses to them. Helping someone who refuses to take responsibility, for example, is a futile act, one that wastes your resources and undermines their own ability to grow. As Epictetus famously said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. In the same vein, you can choose not to help someone when doing so would violate reason, integrity, or virtue. This is not to say that Stoics advocate for cruelty or indifference. On the contrary, the Stoics were deeply committed to the well-being of others. Seneca, for instance, wrote extensively on kindness, generosity, and the importance of uplifting those who seek to better themselves. However, Stoic kindness is grounded in discernment. It recognizes that enabling the flaws of others is neither kind nor just. Helping someone who willfully ignores truth, avoids responsibility, or exploits your goodwill is a betrayal of your own values. It undermines your virtue and perpetuates their vices. The consequences of misguided help can be far-reaching. It is not only a matter of wasted time or energy, but also a matter of reinforcing harmful behaviors. Consider, for example, a person who refuses to acknowledge their own ignorance. If you continually offer guidance or support to someone who rejects truth, you are not helping them. You are enabling their stagnation. In this case, your help becomes a crutch that prevents them from seeking growth on their own. This is a violation of Stoic wisdom, for true assistance should empower individuals to become self-reliant, not dependent on others. Similarly, offering help to someone who shirks accountability can backfire. Such individuals often deflect blame and avoid responsibility for their actions. By stepping in to solve their problems, you shield them from the consequences of their choices. This denies them the opportunity to learn, grow, and develop the resilience necessary for a virtuous life. The Stoics teach us that hardship is a teacher, not a punishment. As Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." When you shield others from their trials, you rob them of the opportunity to become stronger. This leads us to an essential Stoic principle: boundaries. Boundaries are not a sign of selfishness. They are a reflection of wisdom and self-respect. Helping others without compromising yourself is a delicate balance. Stoicism teaches that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you give too much of yourself to those who do not value your help, you deplete your own energy and compromise your ability to act virtuously. This is not virtuous self-sacrifice, it is recklessness. Helping others should never come at the expense of your own well-being or principles. Boundaries also ensure that your help remains intentional. Instead of acting impulsively out of guilt or pity, you pause to consider whether your assistance will truly serve a higher purpose. Will it help the person grow? Will it align with reason and virtue? If the answer is no, then the Stoics would argue that it is better not to help at all. Helping without discernment is not kindness. It is weakness masquerading as virtue. As we explore the 6 types of people you should never help, we will see how each case violates Stoic principles in its own way. From the willfully ignorant to the perpetually resentful, these individuals resist growth and reject reason, making your help both futile and harmful. By identifying these patterns, you can learn to offer assistance in ways that are meaningful and virtuous, while protecting yourself from those who would exploit your goodwill. Helping others is a noble act, but only when it aligns with wisdom, justice, and integrity. Anything less is a disservice to both yourself and the person you are trying to help. Let us begin by examining the first type of person the Stoics warn against: the willfully ignorant. These are individuals who refuse to learn, grow, or accept truth, even when it is presented to them. They are trapped not by circumstance, but by choice, and helping them is a futile endeavor that serves neither party. Through this exploration, we will uncover how Stoic wisdom guides us to help those who are worthy of our efforts, while recognizing when to let go. The willfully ignorant are among the most challenging people to help, and it is precisely for this reason that the Stoics caution against offering them assistance. These individuals are not ignorant by misfortune or lack of opportunity. They are ignorant by choice. They have willfully turned away from truth, knowledge, and growth, preferring the comfort of their delusions over the discomfort of self-improvement. To help them is to fight against their own resistance, and such efforts are rarely rewarded. The willfully ignorant do not lack the ability to learn. They lack the willingness. This is an important distinction, for Stoicism teaches that willingness, the desire to improve and grow, is a necessary precondition for receiving help. In Stoic philosophy, wisdom is a fundamental virtue. It is the pursuit of knowledge, clarity, and understanding. To reject wisdom, then, is to reject virtue itself. When someone refuses to learn or accept truth, they are rejecting one of the core tenets of a meaningful life. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. The willfully ignorant refuse to change because they refuse to change their thoughts. They cling to their misconceptions, biases, and flawed perceptions, even when presented with evidence to the contrary. They see no reason to question themselves, for they have already decided that they are right. Helping such individuals often feels like trying to fill a broken vessel. No matter how much knowledge, advice, or guidance you pour into them, it will never hold. Their ignorance creates a barrier that prevents any meaningful help from reaching them. In fact, your attempts to help may only strengthen their resistance. The willfully ignorant often perceive help as a threat to their worldview, and they may respond with defensiveness, hostility, or dismissal. In their eyes, you are not offering wisdom. You are challenging their identity, and they will fight to protect it. This is why the Stoics advise against helping those who refuse to help themselves. Your efforts are better spent on those who are open to growth, those who recognize their ignorance and seek to overcome it. The willfully ignorant are not your responsibility, for their ignorance is a choice that they alone must confront. As Epictetus teaches, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Until the willfully ignorant acknowledge their ignorance, no amount of help will make a difference. The same principle applies to the unaccountable, those who refuse to take responsibility for their actions. The unaccountable live in a state of perpetual blame, always pointing fingers at others rather than looking inward. To the unaccountable, life is something that happens to them, not something they have control over. They see themselves as victims of circumstance, powerless to change their situation. This mindset is antithetical to Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes personal responsibility as the foundation of a virtuous life. The Stoics teach that we are not defined by our circumstances, but by our responses to them. As Epictetus famously said, we are disturbed not by events, but by the views we take of them. The unaccountable refuse to take ownership of their views, their choices, and their actions. They blame others for their failures, their hardships, and their misfortunes, never pausing to consider their own role in the outcomes they experience. Helping such individuals is a futile exercise because they are not interested in change. They are interested in absolution. They do not seek growth. They seek escape from responsibility. When you help the unaccountable, you reinforce their lack of responsibility. By solving their problems for them, you shield them from the consequences of their actions. This may seem compassionate in the moment, but it is ultimately harmful. The Stoics teach that hardship is a necessary teacher, for it is through struggle that we develop resilience, wisdom, and strength. By removing the unaccountable from their struggles, you deny them the opportunity to learn and grow. You enable their avoidance, and in doing so, you become complicit in their stagnation. To help someone who refuses to take responsibility is to carry a burden that is not yours to bear. It is to expend your energy on someone who will only waste it, for they are not ready to change. Stoicism teaches us to focus our efforts on what is within our control, and the actions of the unaccountable are not within our control. As Seneca reminds us, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. The unaccountable crave escape from their problems, but they are unwilling to do the work required to solve them. Your help then becomes a crutch that allows them to remain in their cycle of avoidance. This does not mean that you should abandon all compassion for the unaccountable. Stoicism teaches us to approach others with empathy and understanding, recognizing that everyone is on their own journey. However, compassion must be tempered with discernment. You can offer guidance, encouragement, and wisdom, but you cannot take responsibility for someone else's choices. The unaccountable must learn to carry their own burdens, for it is only through this process that they will develop the strength to overcome them. As we move forward, we will explore the next type of person the Stoics warn against helping, the perpetual victim. These individuals, much like the unaccountable, reject responsibility for their lives, but they do so in a way that is even more insidious. By defining themselves through hardship and suffering, they trap themselves in a mindset of powerlessness, one that no amount of external help can fix. Among the individuals Stoicism advises us to avoid helping, the perpetual victim holds a unique and deeply troubling place. This is not because they are suffering, as suffering is an inherent part of the human experience, but because they have chosen to define themselves by it. The perpetual victim does not merely endure hardship, they weave it into their identity, using it as a shield against accountability and growth. In the eyes of a Stoic, this mindset is a profound rejection of the resilience and rationality that define human potential. To understand why the Stoics urge caution with the perpetual victim, one must first examine the Stoic approach to adversity. For the Stoics, adversity is not something to be avoided or lamented, but rather an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Challenges in this view are not barriers but stepping stones, guiding us toward greater wisdom, courage, and self-mastery. The perpetual victim, however, sees adversity not as a teacher, but as an indictment, a reason to withdraw, to pity themselves, and to reject personal agency. In the mindset of the perpetual victim, every misfortune is amplified, every slight is intentional, and every failure is the fault of others. Their narrative is one of constant oppression, and they wield their suffering as a tool to garner sympathy and avoid accountability. When you try to help such a person, you may find that your efforts are met not with gratitude, but with resistance or even hostility. This is because the perpetual victim's identity depends on their suffering. To resolve their problems would be to strip them of the very thing that defines them. Consider the wisdom of Epictetus, who taught that we must distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. The perpetual victim blurs this distinction, placing all blame on external factors while absolving themselves of any responsibility. They do not ask, "How can I respond to this hardship in a virtuous way?" Instead, they ask, "Why is this happening to me?" This shift in perspective is crucial, for it reveals a fundamental refusal to engage with the Stoic principle of self-mastery. Helping such a person often means reinforcing their victimhood, perpetuating their cycle of self-pity and inaction. Now, some exciting news. Our channel now offers a members club. By joining it, you'll unlock exclusive benefits, deeper content dives, and personal insights. Join us on this journey, and let's build a meaningful life together. And I also humbly ask you to leave a comment, as it helps my channel immensely. If you do not know what to comment, just write "better every day" so I know you reached this far. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Also, I've linked some books on Stoicism that helped me become the man I am today, and will also help you achieve a Stoic mindset. To aid the perpetual victim is to risk being ensnared in their narrative. You may find yourself drawn into their endless tales of woe, their grievances against the world, and their refusal to seek solutions. Your role in their eyes is not to guide them toward growth, but to validate their suffering. The more you invest in helping them, the more you enable their dependence and entrench their sense of powerlessness. This is not true compassion. It is a disservice to both parties. As Seneca warns, "He who indulges in empty fears earns himself real fears." By indulging the perpetual victim's misplaced fears and grievances, you risk becoming complicit in their stagnation. This does not mean that Stoicism advocates for cold indifference toward those who are suffering. On the contrary, the Stoics were deeply empathetic, recognizing the shared struggles of humanity. However, their empathy was tempered by reason. True compassion, in the Stoic sense, is not about indulging someone's weaknesses, but about empowering them to overcome them. When faced with a perpetual victim, the most compassionate act may be to set firm boundaries and encourage them to take responsibility for their life. As Epictetus reminds us, no man is free who is not master of himself. Helping someone become their own master is far more virtuous than perpetuating their dependence. Next, we turn to another group that Stoicism cautions against helping, the chronically negative. These are individuals who seem to carry a cloud of despair and pessimism wherever they go, and their outlook on life can be as draining as it is infectious. The chronically negative do not see the world through the lens of possibility or virtue. They see only obstacles, injustices, and reasons to complain. Helping such individuals often feels like pouring water into a bottomless well, for their negativity consumes everything without ever being satiated. The Stoics believed in the power of perspective. They taught that our happiness and tranquility depend not on external circumstances, but on our interpretation of them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The chronically negative reject this teaching, focusing instead on what is wrong with the world and what they cannot control. Their negativity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, coloring their experiences and interactions with a constant sense of dissatisfaction. Helping the chronically negative is a daunting task because their worldview resists change. They are quick to dismiss solutions, undermine optimism, and highlight flaws in even the most well-meaning efforts. In their presence, you may feel your own energy and positivity being sapped, as if their negativity is a weight you are forced to carry. This is why the Stoics caution against investing too much in such individuals. While it is natural to want to uplift others, doing so at the expense of your own tranquility is neither virtuous nor wise. The chronically negative often lack gratitude, a quality the Stoics held in high regard. Gratitude, according to the Stoics, is a recognition of the good that exists in life, even amidst hardship. It is a practice that fosters contentment and resilience. The chronically negative, however, are blind to such goodness. They focus solely on what they lack, what has gone wrong, and what might go wrong in the future. This mindset not only hinders their own growth, but also makes them resistant to external help. As Seneca observed, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. The chronically negative crave reasons to despair, and no amount of help can satisfy their longing. To engage with the chronically negative is to risk being drawn into their despair. Their complaints can be contagious, spreading doubt and dissatisfaction to those around them. Even the most resilient individuals may find their own perspective clouded after prolonged exposure to such negativity. The Stoics understood the importance of protecting one's mental state from harmful influences. Epictetus advised, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." By surrounding yourself with negativity, you undermine your own pursuit of virtue and tranquility. This does not mean that the chronically negative are beyond redemption. Stoicism teaches that everyone has the capacity for growth, but this growth must come from within. You cannot force someone to change their perspective or adopt a more positive outlook. What you can do is model Stoic principles in your own life, demonstrating the power of gratitude, resilience, and rationality. If the chronically negative are open to learning, they may eventually be inspired by your example. However, if they remain steadfast in their pessimism, it is not your responsibility to carry their burden. When deciding whether to help the chronically negative, the Stoics would advise you to consider the cost to your own well-being. Helping others is a virtuous act, but only when it aligns with reason and does not compromise your own integrity. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Focus on embodying virtue in your own life and trust that those who are ready for growth will follow your lead. In the next section, we will explore two more types of individuals the Stoics warn against helping: the deceitful and the manipulative. These individuals pose a unique challenge, for their actions are often shrouded in falsehoods and hidden agendas. Helping them requires not only discernment, but also the courage to confront their lack of integrity. The deceitful and the manipulative are among the most insidious individuals the Stoics caution against helping. These are people who, by their very nature, twist the truth, distort reality, and use others as tools for their own gain. To engage with them, let alone help them, is to walk into a web of lies and ulterior motives. For the Stoics, whose philosophy is rooted in the pursuit of truth and virtue, aiding such individuals not only undermines one's integrity, but also perpetuates harm. Deceit is fundamentally at odds with the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with nature. For the Stoics, nature represents order, reason, and truth. To act deceitfully is to act against this natural order, creating chaos where there should be clarity. The deceitful person lives in a world of their own making, one where lies serve as the foundation of their interactions. Helping such a person means either enabling their falsehoods or becoming complicit in their schemes, neither of which aligns with Stoic values. One of the core tenets of Stoicism is the practice of discernment. As Epictetus teaches, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. This call for clarity and understanding extends to how we evaluate the people we choose to help. The deceitful thrive on obfuscation. They cloud situations with half-truths, hidden agendas, and calculated misdirections. Their dishonesty is often subtle, making it difficult to discern their true intentions. Yet, to the Stoic mind, the responsibility for recognizing deceit lies with the helper. To aid someone without first assessing their character is to risk becoming ensnared in their duplicity. Consider the example of someone who consistently lies about their circumstances to elicit sympathy or financial support. Their tales of woe may seem convincing, and your initial instinct may be to help them out of compassion. However, a closer examination might reveal inconsistencies in their stories or evidence that their hardships are self-inflicted. The deceitful rely on such gaps in scrutiny to exploit the goodwill of others. By helping them without verifying their honesty, you inadvertently reward their dishonesty, encouraging them to continue their manipulative behavior. Stoicism teaches that actions should be guided by reason, not emotion. While it is natural to feel compassion for those who appear to be suffering, this compassion must be tempered by critical thinking. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. The same principle applies to helping others. If their intentions are not right and their words are not true, then offering help is neither virtuous nor wise. The deceitful often prey on emotional reactions, knowing that a well-timed plea or tearful confession can bypass rational judgment. To resist their manipulation, the Stoic must remain anchored in reason, evaluating each situation with a clear and discerning mind. The manipulative are a close cousin to the deceitful, distinguished primarily by their active intent to control and exploit others. While the deceitful twist the truth to serve their purposes, the manipulative engineer circumstances to achieve their goals. They are skilled at identifying weaknesses in others and using them as leverage. The manipulative person does not seek mutual benefit or genuine connection, they seek power. Helping such an individual is not only unwise but dangerous. for their gratitude, if it exists at all, is merely a facade to secure further opportunities for exploitation. Manipulation often wears the guise of charm or persuasion, making it difficult to recognize at first. The manipulative person may present themselves as charismatic, well-meaning, or even vulnerable, drawing you in with their apparent sincerity. Once they have gained your trust, they begin to exert control, subtly influencing your decisions and actions to align with their hidden agenda. The Stoics warn against this type of relationship because it compromises your autonomy, a core value in Stoic philosophy. As Seneca writes, associate with people who are likely to improve you. The manipulative person does the opposite, diminishing your agency and leading you away from virtue. Helping the manipulative is particularly challenging because their requests often appear reasonable, even virtuous. They may appeal to your sense of duty, loyalty, or compassion, framing their needs as aligned with your values. For example, they might ask for your support in a conflict, presenting themselves as the victim while concealing their own culpability. By siding with them, you unknowingly become complicit in their schemes, perpetuating harm to others and compromising your own integrity. This is why the Stoics emphasize the importance of understanding the full context before taking action. Epictetus advises, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Understanding what is within your power includes recognizing when someone's intentions are manipulative and choosing not to engage. The deceitful and the manipulative share a common trait, a fundamental lack of integrity. To help them is to risk your own integrity, for their actions often involve moral compromises that conflict with Stoic principles. Integrity for the Stoics is not negotiable. It is the cornerstone of a virtuous life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not be ashamed of help, but if you accept it, let it be according to reason and the proper way." Helping someone whose intentions are dishonest or harmful is not according to reason, and it undermines the very foundation of a virtuous life. So how does one navigate situations involving deceitful or manipulative individuals? The Stoics offer several guiding principles. First, practice discernment. Before offering help, take the time to evaluate the person's character and intentions. Look for patterns of behavior that reveal whether their words align with their actions. Second, set boundaries. Helping someone does not mean allowing them unlimited access to your time, resources, or emotions. Establish clear limits to protect yourself from exploitation. Finally, prioritize your own pursuit of virtue. Helping others should never come at the expense of your integrity or well-being. As Marcus Aurelius advises, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. The deceitful and the manipulative often leave a trail of harm in their wake, affecting not only their immediate victims, but also those who attempt to help them. By refusing to engage with their falsehoods and schemes, you not only protect yourself, but also uphold the Stoic commitment to truth and virtue. This does not mean abandoning compassion or turning a blind eye to the suffering of others. Rather, it means approaching each situation with reason, clarity, and integrity, ensuring that your actions contribute to the greater good rather than enabling harm. As we conclude this exploration of the 6 types of people Stoicism advises us not to help, it is worth reflecting on the broader lessons these teachings offer. At its core, Stoicism is a philosophy of empowerment. It teaches us to focus on what is within our control, to live in accordance with nature, and to cultivate virtues such as wisdom, courage, and justice. Helping others is a natural extension of these principles, but it must be done with discernment and purpose. By understanding whom to help and whom to avoid, we not only protect our own integrity, but also ensure that our efforts have a meaningful and positive impact. Now, If any part of this message has been helpful to you, leave us your like and comment, helping the algorithm recommend it to someone who needs it at this time. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos, and if you look through the videos we've already uploaded, you're sure to find something to take with you. Have a good day.